The Las Vegas Raiders fan base has been through it the last few years. John Gruden had the Raiders rolling until he got in trouble and Rich Bisaccia guided them to the playoffs as the interim head coach. Bisaccia didn't get the full-time gig though. Josh McDaniels got it instead and he couldn't have gone any worse. He got rid of quarterback Derek Carr with no replacement plan and the players couldn't stay on the side of him. In the second half of 2023, Antonio Pierce came in and gave Raider fans hope as the interim head coach. He got the full-time gig, but owner Mark Davis never fully trusted him and it didn't work out. He then brought in minority owner Tom Brady and he hired GM John Spytek and head coach Pete Carroll to work together to bring an end to all this dysfunction. It's going to be different now. When Davis hired Pierce, it wasn't because he thought he was the guy to take the Raiders to the promised land. He hired him because he knew he'd have mutiny on his hands if he didn't. The team, notably edge rusher Max Crosby, wouldn't have wanted to stay there if Pierce didn't get a chance. That's why they gave him a 2-year deal that was really a 1-year deal. That hurt Pierce as he tried to hire his offensive staff as his defensive staff was pretty much settled. He tried to hire Chip Kelly and Cliff Kingsbury to be his offensive coordinator, but neither accepted the job because they saw it as a 2-year deal that can easily turn into 1 year. They wanted at least a 3-year deal to show a commitment to them. So in comes Carroll, he gets a 3-year deal, and look who the Raiders have as their offensive coordinator now. Pierce would have had to grow into being the head coach, but he would have done better if he had Kingsbury or Chip Kelly as his offensive coordinator. The Raiders actually thought they had Kingsbury, but that snag hit late and the top offensive coordinator candidates had been hired. That left Pierce with slim pickings to choose from to be his offensive coordinator. So he ended up having to roll with Luke Getsy. That was quite a consequence right there. Getsy was one of, if not the worst offensive coordinator in the NFL. He's the first guy I've seen in a key situation run the ball 3 times in a row when the run wasn't working that day. He also called pass plays 3 times in a row on days the pass wasn't working. I'll just say this. There are great position coaches out there that aren't cut out to be coordinators. There are great coordinators out there that aren't cut out to be head coaches too. I think Getsy just needs to be a receiver coach. Receiver Devontae Adams swore by him, which is probably why he got the job, and he might have been right, just not as an offensive coordinator. Getsy was Adams' position coach with the Green Bay Packers, and he obviously did a good job of developing him. However, he was so bad as an offensive coordinator, he had a big hand in why Adams no longer wanted to be a Raider. There were 2 things he did while he was offensive coordinator of the Raiders that really did them in. He hired the wrong guy to be his offensive line coach and made Gardner Minshew a starting quarterback. Aiden O'Connell isn't great himself, but he's better than Minshew. That's a decision Pierce didn't necessarily agree with, but he decided to give his offensive coordinator autonomy over the offense. Carroll's an experienced head coach, so he knows what he wants. He has a 3-year deal, too. That's why he was able to bring Chip Kelly in to bring his offensive coordinator after Pierce couldn't the year before. I know it didn't go the way he wanted with the Philadelphia Eagles as the head coach, but it wasn't because his offenses were ineffective. His offenses moved the ball and put points on the board. Over his 3 seasons with the Eagles, his offense was ranked number 3 in points per game in total offense and 4 in rushing. Hey, maybe he's one of those guys that should just be an offensive coordinator. He's come a long way and he's not just a spread guy anymore. If you saw him at Ohio State, you saw that he does all kinds of things now. He'll run the I formation. He'll even run 3 tight ends when the situation calls for it. He'll run 12 personnel too. And of course he still uses that spread. That's what's so impressive about Kelly. He's added all these different elements to his offense to make it more adaptable. Kelly's a much better offensive coordinator than Getsy, but he's also coming into a better situation with a solid quarterback. He doesn't have to choose between Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. He has Geno Smith, who many are sleeping on. He's a legit starter and he's been through it in the NFL. You gotta love a guy with a story like this. His career was going nowhere, then Carroll gets him and puts him on his bench for a while, and when he gets his opportunity, he shined. In 2022, when Russell Wilson departed, Smith threw for 4,282 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and a passer rating of 100.9 while leading them to a 9-8 record and a wild-card playoff berth. He did so with the same team Russell Wilson went 7-10 with the previous year, too. His offensive line was horrible last year, so he threw 21 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, but he still completed 70% of his passes and led the Seahawks to a 10-7 record. He's been the most accurate quarterback over the last 3 years, and Pro Football Focus has him ranked number 10 in the NFL. Smith is going to work well with the running game the Raiders are going to have. When Telesco was here with Pierce, the two had philosophical differences. Pierce ran the ball and played defense to get the job. In the process, he gave the NFL the blueprint on how to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The Philadelphia Eagles just executed it to a T in the Super Bowl last year. The Raiders beat the Chiefs that day without completing a pass for 3/4 of the game. To do that, you need a running back you can constantly give the ball to and he gets you yards. Zamir White was able to do that day, but that's about it. That's why Pierce wanted to re-sign Jacobs, but Telesco didn't because he doesn't value the running back position. The thing about that is the Raiders were built to run the ball and play defense. That was Pierce's philosophy too. When the coach has a philosophy, the GM has to have the same philosophy so he can bring the players in accordingly. You can't have a head coaching team with a philosophy that includes running the ball a lot and the GM doesn't value the running back position. You can see why Telesco just got fired by the Chargers the previous year. He drafts well but doesn't build teams according to his coach's vision. You could tell by the draft a few weeks ago that Spytek and Carroll have the same philosophy. I guess that's why Brady put them together. That's how coaches get what they need to succeed. That's also how the Raiders ended up picking running back Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall. Carroll is a run the ball and play defense kind of guy just like Pierce was trying to be, and the Raiders spent premium value on the best running back prospect I've seen in years. Jeanty isn't just a talented guy that goes out there and picks up yards because of that talent. He isn't a guy that took advantage of bad competition either. He broke as many tackles against Penn State and Oregon as he did against any other team. He's a skilled ball carrier that knows how to run the football. Sure, his vision, elusiveness, power, and speed are there, but that's not all of it. He knows how to attack a portion of a defender and not give up a clean shot. He knows how to give a hip or a shoulder and take it away. Jeanty's going to give the Raiders the running game Jacobs gave the Raiders and then some. He kinda is Jacobs, but more elusive and with blazing speed. The defense will be ready too. They were number 1 in the NFL over the second half of the season in 2023, then had a lot of injuries in 2024. They weren't the team's undoing though. The offense's 3 and outs and turnovers had the defense on the field all day. That defense lost a few players, but they replaced them with capable guys that fit what Carroll and defensive coordinator Patrick Graham like to do. So now that Carroll has Kelly, Smith, and Jeanty, the Raiders are set to run the ball and play defense. No more mismatched philosophies with the coaches, coordinators, GMs. No more dysfunction. This year's different. Thank you for watching. See you next time.